I'm Megan Adler, a colonel in the United States Air Force, and today, I've got a tale that'll make you rethink everything you assume about the people around you. Picture this, a lavish anniversary party in one of the ritziest neighborhoods, filled with champagne toasts, designer suits, and whispered deals worth millions. Everyone's laughing, clinking glasses, and then, bam, the TV flickers on, and suddenly, all eyes are on me. Not because I'm the underdog sister they pitied, but because I'm the stealth fighter pilot commanding the skies. They said I couldn't afford time off. Oh, how the tables turned when they saw me dominating the headlines. Stick around, because this story of family misconceptions, hidden valor, and sweet, unintentional revenge is about to unfold. If you've ever felt underestimated, this one's for you. Let's dive in. Let me start by painting a picture of who I am. My name is Megan Adler, and at 43 years old, I've logged over 3,000 flight hours in the F-22 Raptor, aircraft most people only see as distant silver streaks across the sky. You're strapped into a cockpit so advanced it feels like an extension of your nervous system. Every hand movement translates to tons of thrust vectoring. You pull 8 gs in a turn, your vision tunneling as you push human limits. Below, the earth curves away, a reminder that mistakes aren't measured in fender benders. They're measured in lives. That's my office. As a colonel in the United States Air Force, I've commanded squadrons where every decision could mean life or death at Mach 2. I've led combat deployments to places I still can't name, in operations that won't be declassified for 30 years. The medals on my dress uniform tell stories of split-second decisions in hostile airspace. Right now, in late July, I was preparing for the defining moment of my career, the Paris Air Show demonstration on August 14th. This wasn't just another flyover. This was the international stage, with defense ministers from 43 nations watching, NATO brass taking notes, and CNN broadcasting live. The demonstration would showcase American air dominance to our allies and adversaries alike. But here's the twist, my family had absolutely no idea. For 15 years, they'd constructed an elaborate fiction about my life. In their version, I was a flight instructor at some community college, teaching weekend hobbyists in Cessnas, making ends meet on maybe $40,000 a year. It hadn't started maliciously. When I first enlisted after high school, I tried sharing my excitement. After my first solo flight in AT-38 Talon, I called home, voice cracking with joy. "Mom, Dad, I just flew solo. Just me and the sky." "That's wonderful, dear," my mother said warmly but distantly. "Hold on, your sister just arrived. Alex, darling. Come tell everyone about Marcus's promotion." And the conversation shifted. My accomplishment became background noise. It happened again and again. Graduation from fighter training. Making captain. First combat deployment. Each time I tried explaining, I was redirected to topics they found more interesting, more comprehensible, more them. After a few years, I stopped trying. It was easier to let them fill in the blanks. They needed me to be ordinary, positioned safely below them on the achievement ladder. So I became that person in their minds, poor Megan, single and struggling, unable to afford real vacations. The irony was exquisite. While they assumed I was scraping by, I was pulling in a colonel's salary with combat pay and flight pay. While they thought I couldn't afford time off, I was being denied leave because I was too critical to operations. My inability to vacation wasn't about money, it was about national security. My sister Alexandra, Alex to her carefully calculated number of friends, had constructed a life that belonged on a magazine cover. Everything screamed curated perfection. She'd married Marcus Thornton when she was 26 and he was a rising hedge fund star. Now, at 41, she presided over an empire of affluence. Their Greenwich, Connecticut estate sprawled across 3 manicured acres, every hedge geometrically trimmed, every flower bed color coordinated, every blade maintained by a landscaping team. The house was a monument to tasteful excess. 8 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, a climate-controlled wine cellar, and a garage housing Marcus's luxury vehicles like museum pieces. The circular driveway could fit a small aircraft. I'd measured it once out of professional habit. Their life followed predictable privilege rhythms, summers in the Hamptons, winters in Aspen, spring breaks in the Caribbean. Alex posted about it all with casual frequency that screamed, "Look how effortlessly perfect we are." Their 3 children attended a private school where annual tuition rivaled an F-16's operating cost for a single flight hour. Marcus had climbed ruthlessly, and his success gave them access to circles where million-dollar deals were discussed over ancient scotch. He wasn't bad, exactly, just someone who'd forgotten other value systems existed. And then there was me, the family's uncomfortable footnote. Single at 43, no children, no Instagram-worthy lifestyle. I couldn't post selfies from classified briefings or cockpit photos from combat zones. My achievements were measured in metrics invisible to their world: threat assessments delivered, air superiority maintained, pilots trained, missions accomplished. In their eyes, I'd made poor choices. Failed to secure a successful husband or build a life that photographed well. I was the cautionary tale they probably referenced in warnings to their daughters. You want to end up like Aunt Megan? If only they knew. If only they'd spent one day feeling the immense responsibility of commanding a weapon system capable of establishing air dominance over an entire region. If they'd experienced the sacred trust between pilots, where your wingman's life depends on your skill. If they'd felt the bone-deep satisfaction of bringing everyone home. But they'd never know, because they'd never asked. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday in late June, pulled from my Edwards Air Force Base mailbox. I'd just finished a grueling 6-hour simulation, fighting AI-controlled enemies replicating the most advanced threat aircraft in existence. The envelope was art, thick cream cardstock, hand-calligraphed addressing, gold foil edges. It hummed with expense. Inside, embossed text announced: Alexandra and Marcus Thornton cordially invite you to celebrate 15 years of marriage. Saturday, July 27th, 7 p.m. Details followed about beluga caviar, vintage wines, and accommodations. I sat in my Spartan quarters and laughed. That morning I'd simulated destroying an enemy fleet. Now I needed to fit into Alex's world for a weekend without disrupting our delicate fiction. The timing was challenging. I had exactly 1 weekend clear before Paris preparations consumed everything. My executive officer, Captain Sarachin, had been brutal about protecting my schedule. Colonel, even fighter pilots need to remember they're human occasionally. So I RSVP'd. Booking commercial felt surreal after years of controlling my own speed and trajectory. But showing up in AC-130 or F-22 would raise questions. The flight from near Edwards to Westchester County took 5 hours with a Denver layover that felt like purgatory. Cramped middle seat. Crying baby. Coffee filtered through old socks. I found myself calculating the trip time at Mach 1.8. Landing at 4 p.m. that humid Friday gave me 3 hours before the party. I collected my worn military duffel and found my Uber driver, an affable guy named Tom with a Yankees cap. "Whoa, fancy neighborhood," he said when I gave Alex's address. "Vacation? Family event. Nice. What do you do?" "Aviation," I replied, watching Connecticut suburbs pass. "Like a pilot? Commercial? Military?" No kidding. So you teach at a flight school on base? I let him assume. Easier than explaining yesterday's briefing for generals or next week's discussion with French and German Air Force commanders. Tom filled the silence with friendly chatter about how tough it must be to get time off, how teachers never caught breaks anymore. I watched neighborhoods transition from middle class to aggressively wealthy. Houses grew larger, walls and gates appeared, luxury cars multiplied. When we arrived, Tom whistled. Your family's loaded, huh? My sister married well, I said, which was technically true if you measured wealth purely in currency. The front door burst open. Alex exploded onto the porch in designer fabric and expensive perfume, arms outstretched for air kisses. Megan! You made it! I was worried. She looked flawless. Professional hairstyling, perfect makeup, midnight blue cocktail dress. But her eyes were frantic. It's chaos, wrong champagne vintage, bartender stuck in traffic, Marcus's Tokyo friend showed up early. She pulled me inside while typing furiously. Everything gleamed, polished marble, crystal chandeliers, museum-quality art. The air smelled of hundreds of flowers. Alex's face fell when she saw my jeans and button-down. You didn't bring a dress. No worries, borrow mine. Same size. As she led me upstairs, she gushed, I'm so proud you came. I know how hard it is getting time off from teaching those summer classes. Community college schedules are brutal. But family first. You're such a trooper. I opened my mouth, Alex, I'm coordinating an international military demonstration while prepping for promotion, but the words died. I'd had this moment before. Years of them. Christmas 5 years ago, trying to share deployment stories, she'd waved me off. Don't be so showy, Megan. We're just chatting casually. After that, I'd stopped trying. Easier to be underestimated than constantly ignored. Wouldn't miss it, I said instead. The guest room was predictably stunning. Egyptian cotton sheets, spa-like bathroom, garden views where workers assembled the party setup. I changed into the emerald green cocktail dress Alex provided and headed downstairs at 6:45. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, about 75 guests mingled. Dress code followed religiously, sharp suits, designer gowns, careful wealth displays without appearing gauche. The jazz band played near the pool house. Servers circulated with shrimp cocktail, foie gras, caviar, crystal champagne flutes. The air buzzed with money recognizing money. I grabbed wine and tried blending in. Within minutes, Jenna, wife of Marcus's colleague, cornered me. Polished from trainers, dermatologists, and stylists, her dress probably cost more than my car payment. Diamonds sparkled everywhere. You must be Alex's sister. What do you do? I work for the Air Force. Her eyes glazed instantly. Oh, like administration? I fly. Oh. Flight attendant? Which airline? Military. Fighters. Now curious, but like viewing a zoo animal. That's intense. But it's not full-time, right? It is. And I deploy regularly. But with no family, I guess that makes it easier. Her 3-carat ring caught light. I gave up teaching when kids came. Priorities, you know. Family first. The implication hung there, I'd failed at important things, gotten priorities wrong, ended up alone at 43. I excused myself to the patio where heaters warmed the evening air. Over the next hour, I had 3 more identical conversations. Different people, same script about administration, support roles, balancing that dangerous job with life and family. Each time, the same thought process, how sad. 43, single, dangerous job, probably poor, no kids. Missed what really matters. By 8:30, I'd retreated to a quiet corner, nursing my second wine. The garden lights transformed the backyard into something magical. The saxophone wailed softly. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah, Paris demo confirmed. CNN slot locked for 0800 Zulu on the 14th, live interview post-flight. Make us proud, Colonel. I smiled, imagining the roar at full afterburner, the crowd's gasp as the Raptor defied physics. That was my vacation. My reward. There you are. Alex appeared, linking arms with forced cheer, eyes too bright. You can't hide. Come meet Marcus's partners. Serious networking gold. Might lead to better opportunities. Get you out of that teaching grind. Before I could protest, she was pulling me toward a cluster of men. Marcus's group represented exactly the success their circle valued: Alexander with his Tuscany villa stories, Lucien, the French aerospace consultant with designer glasses, Brian, fresh from a 9-figure tech merger, and Marcus, beaming with host pride. Gentlemen, Alex announced. My sister Megan. She teaches flying lessons at community college. Very noble work. Marcus clapped my shoulder. Flight instruction, rewarding career. Must be satisfying, right? Local airport work? Brian asked. Private lessons or groups? I murmured something vague, mind flashing to very different students, fighter pilots learning life or death decisions at supersonic speeds. Alexander launched into his New Zealand helicopter tour monologue, every detail about the pilot's inexperience, the turbulence, how he'd practically had to explain flying. I wondered if he'd experienced real turbulence where alarms scream and only training prevents disaster. Lucien eventually asked about summer plans. Marcus jumped in, laughing. Oh, Megan works straight through summer. Can't afford time off, teacher schedules, you know. And community college salaries aren't exactly. He trailed off meaningfully. Alex leaned in, voice edged with pity. Exactly. She literally can't afford the time off. Not like us in private sector with generous vacation policies. She patted my arm. But she's dedicated. Admirable. The group made sympathetic noises for unfortunate life choices. Heat rose in my cheeks, bone-deep weariness, not anger. 15 years of this narrative. 15 years as the cautionary tale. Afford? My colonel's salary with combat and flight pay put me comfortably in 6 figures. But more than money, my time was dedicated to keeping people safe. To training pilots and planning missions and deterring adversaries. Because freedom isn't free, and someone has to stand watch. I excused myself as they compared Ibiza, Mykonos, and St. Tropez trips. Back in my corner, I checked my phone. Sarah again, news outlets requesting interviews. London Times, Der Spiegel, Le Monde all want post-demonstration access. You're about to be famous, Colonel. Famous. The irony was perfect. I typed, just doing the job. Her response, too late. Already trending on military aviation forums. Hashtag women in fighter jets having a moment. I smiled, imagining the ripple effects. Young girls seeing a woman in that cockpit thinking I could do that. Progress, inch by hard-fought inch. At 9:15, Marcus clinked his glass for speeches. The crowd gathered as he and Alex took the stage, glowing in strategic lighting. He launched into partnership, building life together. Photos flashed behind them: wedding day, exotic vacations, children, 15 years of milestones. To love, success, building something meaningful. Marcus concluded, raising his glass. Applause rippled. I clapped mechanically, mind drifting to my milestones, first time strapping into a fighter and feeling immense power, bringing a damaged aircraft home on fumes and prayer, the distinguished flying cross pinned to my chest after an extraction mission that still haunted my dreams. In the background, a television mounted to the outdoor entertainment center droned on muted CNN, probably for stocks or weather. Nobody was paying attention. Nobody except me. Because I saw the B-roll footage before others did: Paris aerial shots, Le Bourget Airport, military aircraft being positioned. My stomach flipped. Someone grabbed the remote and unmuted it. The CNN anchor's voice cut through the music. We're now 10 days from one of the most anticipated demonstrations at the Paris Air Show. The United States Air Force has confirmed that Colonel Megan Adler, one of only 12 women worldwide qualified to pilot the F-22 Raptor in combat operations, will be leading the American demonstration before 43 defense ministers, NATO leadership, and international media. The jazz band faltered. Conversations stopped. Heads turned synchronized toward the screen. Footage shifted to an F-22 in flight. Even compressed on television, the Raptor was magnificent. Vertical climb, engines roaring, vapor cones forming as it went supersonic. A barrel roll, thrust vectoring making it dance like something alive. Then my photograph filled the screen. Me, in full flight suit, helmet under my arm, standing beside the aircraft with easy confidence from years of mastery. Patches visible, American flag, squadron insignia, name tape. Behind me, the Raptor's angular lethality. Caption: Colonel Megan Adler, United States Air Force, Paris Air Show demonstration pilot, Commander, 65th Aggressor Squadron. The anchor continued: Colonel Adler will conduct a live CNN interview immediately following her demonstration flight on August 14th. She brings over 3,000 flight hours and multiple combat deployments to what promises to be one of the most technically demanding demonstrations in the event's history. Time slowed. I watched realization spread through the party like a wave. Jenna's mouth dropped open, champagne glass tilting. Alexander frantically pulled out his phone. Marcus's face went through phases: confusion, disbelief, shock, horror. Alex stood frozen, her glass slipping from nerveless fingers to shatter on marble in a cascade of crystal and golden liquid. "That's you," Jenna whispered, pointing between screen and me. "That's actually you." Marcus stammered, confidence shattered. "You fly F-22s? Command a squadron? You're on CNN doing international demonstrations?" Brian had his phone out, reading rapidly. "Holy, Colonel Megan Adler. Commander of the 65th Aggressor Squadron at Nellis. That's the elite training unit. You train other fighter pilots?" Alex found her voice, high and thin. "You told us you taught flying lessons. You let us think." "No," I said calmly. "I told you I worked for the Air Force. I said I flew fighters. You assumed the rest. You interrupted every time I tried clarifying, and eventually I stopped trying because it was easier than fighting to be heard. But you never corrected us." "I did. 5 years ago, Christmas dinner. I tried telling you about a deployment, about what I actually do, and you waved me off. Said I was being showy. Told me to stop making my job sound like an action movie. Remember? Alex's face paled beneath makeup. Lucien stepped forward, accent thick with excitement. Demonstration pilot for Paris? Colonel, that's extraordinary. Defense ministers from 43 nations watching. The technical difficulty alone. Alexander was scrolling, reading aloud. Commands the 65th Aggressor Squadron, over 3,000 flight hours, multiple combat deployments. Distinguished Flying Cross, 3 Air Medals, Meritorious Service Medal. He looked up, stunned. There's a Wikipedia page about you. Also mentioned she's up for Brigadier General, Brian added. That's a star. General officer rank. Whispers rippled. She's a colonel? Fighter pilot? Alex said she couldn't afford vacations. I set down my wine glass. I'm not angry. Just tired of the charade. I have a briefing at Edwards Monday. I'm heading out early. I thanked them for the invite and walked toward the door. Lucien shook my hand, an honor, Colonel. Jenna was reciting my achievements to wide-eyed guests. Upstairs, I changed into jeans and packed swiftly. My phone lit up, texts from squadron mates, even my commander, making waves in Connecticut. Colonel? Ha! A knock. Alex stood there, mascara streaked, dress rumpled. Can we talk? She apologized profusely. I had no idea. All that pity, unnecessary. I nodded. I got tired of trying. Easier to let you believe. She laughed through tears. We thought you couldn't afford vacation, but you're flying stealth jets, on CNN, off to Paris. I smiled. To be fair, I still can't take time off in August. More tears. Marcus is mortified. I shrugged. This wasn't revenge. The real revenge was letting you live in delusion while I built something meaningful, missions that matter, skies that call. She asked if things could change. If you listen instead of assuming. She promised to try, then asked about Paris. Will it be televised? Yes. Watch and see. She left whispering, I'm proud of you, though she had no claim to it. Downstairs, I slipped out quietly. Lucien caught me, offering his consulting card. I pocketed it, deleted later. My worth isn't in boardrooms, it's in the cockpit where the world falls away and only the mission matters. In the Uber to the airport, Tom, same driver, recognized me. Back so soon? I nodded. As we drove, I reflected. Family bonds are tricky, especially when laced with envy. But Valor isn't about applause, it's quiet, steadfast. That high-altitude silence? Priceless compared to cocktail chatter. Waking at 5 a.m. for my flight, I felt lighter. Paris awaited, thundering engines, global eyes, my promotion looming. My family? They'd glimpsed the real me. Maybe it'd stick, maybe not. Either way, I soar on. If this story resonated about breaking free from underestimation, share your own tales. What's your they had no idea moment? Until next time, keep your head high and your wings strong. This is Megan Adler, signing off.